And I highly recommend having a greater understanding of it. But sex related and sexually appealing are not the same thing. She uses a restaurant label, right? You might be hungry, right? That's maybe appeal. So if you look on your phone and you search restaurants, this is a restaurant, this is a restaurant, this is a restaurant, this is a restaurant. So those are all restaurant related, right? Just like something might be sex related. Doesn't mean that they're all appealing. It doesn't mean you want to eat at all those different places. That might not be what you're in the mood for. So that kind of relates to context. If you're hungry for Mexican and the only thing around are burgers, just because it's sex related or in the analogy food related doesn't mean it's a win, right? So same thing too in terms of, I have a whole blog post about using lube. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend doing it all the time. Somehow a fly got in here. So anyways, highly recommend using lube. I think women also have the misconception that that's only for their benefit and that it's yet another need they have and yet another way we're being high maintenance. First of all, that's crap. And second of all, better glide is a win for both partners. I can promise you that. And so, instead of worrying about stopping or worrying about whether or not you're wet enough and worrying about having to interrupt, I just recommend using it all the time to avoid all the other barriers that we run into with that. A lot of times you might start off plenty wet, but then friction, bye-bye lubrication. So another big misconception is, especially on the female part, just because men, I think erection and arousal relate to each other in that it's obvious if there's an erection, but it doesn't necessarily mean, it's again the whole sex related versus pleasure. Men can get an erection even sometimes when they don't want to. Things that, she shares a bunch more research. Like I said, she goes way more in depth, but she shares a bunch of research about men watching different things while they're being tested during research and being appalled at themselves getting an erection in an inappropriate situation. And so by the same token, sometimes men lose an erection when they are 100% on board and into it and want to be there and want to be involved. By the same token, there's the misconception that if a woman isn't lubricated enough on her own, that she's not into it, or that if she is lubricated, that she is into it. Enter rape and sexual assault. Not true in either case. There's a lot of different reasons for lubrication and a lack of lubrication, a lot of which have zero to do with arousal or pleasure. Yes, we have glands that secrete lubrication during intercourse and during sexual stimulus, but a lack of does not mean you aren't in